France far from dominated this game. They get the victory, though. They get the win, of course, which keeps them very much in touch of qualifying for the World Cup next summer. Let's just take a look at how the group stands. France with a 100% record. Iceland seated in second. More on this. Let's join Frank Leboeuf is with us, who watched this closely for us. Frank, I suppose in the end, with that goal that was disallowed late on, rightly disallowed, France just got away with it.
Yeah, but I'm not sure as okay as you are. Seems to be okay as you are, you know, about the goal disallowed. I mean, I was okay putting shirts from I think it was Gudjonsen on Konate, but that wasn't that big a bigger deal. You know, it didn't change the move of Konate or whatever it could have been. So, you know, we've been fortunate. Thank you, the referee. Thank you, the VAR. But that's a game to forget. That's really a game to forget. I mean, comparing the 65 minutes that France played against Ukraine away from home, we are so far away from the level of performances that they showed like 4 days ago. So that wasn't a good game. Congratulations to the Icelanders, because they did what they had to do. Sometimes they parked the bus, but they tried. They got fortunate with the Olise bad pass to the goalkeeper, or I don't know who that was for. But France didn't play well. That wasn't a good game. The 3 points are very good for us, and let's move on and let's see what's going on after that.
Just a couple of days ago, Frank, we were waxing lyrical about Spain and how impressive they are. They're very much the team that has set the bar with regards to the standard within this World Cup qualifying. The thing that always makes me scratch my head when you take a look at France, they are so stacked. There are so many good players within this team. Yet I feel we sit here, me and you, having the same conversation a lot about France after these games where they don't live up to their potential.
That's true, but do you know what do you want to say? I mean, you obviously, when you see the names, you expect something like you're going to see when you see Spain's playing. But it's not the case. Well, today it's not the case. Like 4 days ago against Ukraine for like 45 minutes, that was exceptional, really exceptional. I say, wow, that team, especially going forward, they're very strong. But on top of it, Upamecano and Konate, they did the job, and Menia as well. So you are compact in the middle of the park. Kone, Chouameni, they're strong enough. We can cope with any teams in the world. And today you play at home and you play against Iceland and you're nowhere near it. So it's ups and downs. It's up to Deschamps to make sure that during the World Cup it's going to be different, because no doubt that France is going to be qualified and they're going to fight for maybe winning the World Cup. But they have to be more consistent in their level. Some players have been. Kone, again, very good. Nothing to complain about Konate and Upamecano. But forward, that was the shadow of Olise. Mbappe tried and scored a goal and made another assist. But I want him to be more involved. And otherwise, that was quite average overall. And Spain, they're very good. Yeah. And they're consistent. France can be very good, but they're not consistent.
There's something about France which I just don't quite trust.
Yeah, maybe even the players know. And maybe even for them, it's a yawn fest.
Do you think so? Do you think there's a motivation?
Maybe it's as big a yawn fest for them as it is for some of us. I don't
right.
throw you all under the bus, but I'll throw myself under. Well, France will qualify.
Yes.
Spain will qualify. You know, Germany, as bad as they are, will probably qualify. They'll all qualify. It's about how you gear up to doing it at the major championships when you get there. And France do tend to, you're right, they tend to have these very high highs and low lows for the kind of squads that they have. And I think a lot of it is the manager. I think the manager is a little cautious at times, and they don't quite express themselves with the talent level they have in the same way that Spain do. But that's just the way that they go about it, and it's been successful for them. Whether it'll be in the World Cup, which I think is Deschamps' last tournament, remains to be seen. But they certainly have the talent level to do it. But in terms of the qualification, you know, we're going to get to England in a bit, and one or two other nations. They're all going to qualify. It's just kind of a sort of build-up to North America in 10 months' time, isn't it? I think.
I agree with Craig. I think Deschamps is the key to it all. I mean, Frank obviously knows Deschamps really well. We don't. But it seems when you look at Spain and you look at Deschamps, the two managers, the chalk and cheese to me. The Spanish manager looks as though he's on them all the time, whereas you even see Deschamps during this game sitting back in his chair. You know, there's an opportunity to score, they don't take it, and he doesn't move. I think it's absolutely the two managers. I think the Spain manager keeps his players on the toes, and it looks to me as though Deschamps doesn't, not certainly all the time.
That's true. That's true that after the red card, Tchouaméni's red card, Deschamps immediately decided to change and put more defensive players with Malo Gusto and Rabiot coming in. I can bet that De La Fuente will have put maybe a forward player to put trouble in the opponent's head and say, wow, what are they trying to do? And keep the ball and try to get and score the third goal to finish the game. That's true. And Deschamps have been a lot criticized, especially by Christophe Dugarry, for example, who say he has to stop to be too conservative. He has to go for that. He has the individuals for that. And that's true. He's been educated by Italian football in the 90s. He played for Marseille, then moved to Italy and saw how in Italy you preserve first defensively. And then if you have a chance to score, you score. That's his education. So it's going to be abnormal for him to change that way of working, especially because he's been so successful as a player, but also as a coach. He won the World Cup. He almost won the European Championship. He almost won another World Cup. So why do you want him to change the way of playing? The last time that Spain won a World Cup was 2010. France played 2 other World Cup finals with Deschamps. So Deschamps is not going to change anything, and that's his last year as a coach. He's going to keep on doing where he's the best at, being good defensively first.
Just a reminder, of course, it's the end of the international break. We will have domestic football returning this weekend. A full round of matches in La Liga. Saturday sees Real Sociedad take on Real Madrid Atleti against Villarreal. And then on Sunday, Barcelona will not be at their new home. Of course, a delay to the opening of the Camp Nou. They will take on Valencia. Fair to say, Thomas Tuchel's most impressive performance from his England side since taking over from Gareth Southgate. England, of course, flying there, as Craig mentioned before. They will qualify. They are 5 wins out of 5, sitting on 15 points at the top of Group K. There you are. That's better from England, wasn't it, Stevie?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Serbia's not brilliant, but they have got a fantastic home record. I think that's only the second time in 20 years they've lost a qualifier at home. So it tells you that at home, regardless of where they are in the world rankings, that they're solid. But England, once the Harry Kane goal went in the first one, they just cut them open. Too easy.
They haven't lost in 13 years, Stevie. That's a head scratcher, isn't it, when you watch them?
Yeah.
I haven't lost a qualifier at home in 13 years. You think, have they played anybody? But in all fairness, we can debate Serbia's home record and the validity of it, but you can't debate England tonight. Yeah. Away from home, arguably their toughest test in this group, and they completely demolished Serbia. I mean, controlled the game, played some nice football, had pace on the wide areas. Stevie mentioned Kane, he's just got a phenomenal record. You cannot take that away from him. Morgan Rogers was really clever. Obviously, Elliot Anderson, it's sort of new to the England squad for him when he got called up, but plays alongside Declan Rice. They didn't have to do a lot of defending at the back. And I just thought they were impressive. They controlled the game. Of course, it was a little bit easy for them, particularly when the sending off happened. Surprised how weak Serbia were, really, in attack. But 5 goals for England. I thought they were really good. I thought the movement, the passing, and again, Madueke just showing what he may be able to give Arsenal when Saka's out. And we were talking about it, Stevie and I. He's one of the few players that when he gets on the ball, his first thought is not to come inside or come back and look. His first thought, if he can, is drag it forward and start backing the defender up. We saw it in the Liverpool game with Kerkez, had him under pressure quite a few times. In the end, Kerkez did a pretty decent job on him. But he's direct, he's pacey, and he showed in this game today that he can finish as well. So a good day all round for England.
If he can... If he can get the consistency with his final decision, Madueke, whether it's a strike at goal or whether it's playing somebody in, this guy is an absolute defender's nightmare. I mean, most defenders today love it when it's 1v1, the opposition turns around and goes back the way, which we see so often, too many times. Not this guy. And it's an absolute nightmare for any fullback in particular. When you see this guy on the ball, the only thing you know is you better be on your toes because he's coming at you.
Now, this kind of broke just as we were finishing up the show yesterday. Nuno Espirito Santo sacked as manager at Nottingham Forest. This is a man who exceeded, of course, all expectations last season. Forest very much in the Champions League hunt, of course, in the end, having to make do for a place in Europe. But in the end, it clearly was a big falling out between him and the backroom staff, in particular Edu, according to reports that were published in August the 25th. Of course, he came out in that press conference and said things are not good, and you felt from that moment on that his time at Nottingham Forest was on the wane. And in the end, he was fired yesterday. And it's interesting who was coming in to take over. Ange Postecoglou, of course, after being sacked from Spurs in the summer, reported to be the new Nottingham Forest manager. Craig, where do you want to start with this?
Well, it's a complete sea change in terms of what you're going to get in style. Nottingham Forest under Steve Cooper were a team that tried to be hard to beat. Nuno Espirito Santo continued that, but had a little bit more flair about it. But they still had the hard-to-beat mantra. Their defensive record was excellent. They generally let teams outpossess them. They had some wide guys at the time in Elanga and Hudson-Odoi, and obviously Chris Wood up front having the season and a half of his life. That's all gone out, and that was good enough to get them almost into the Champions League at one point. Mm-hmm. Now, the big question was, could you keep that going, and would that sort of falter at some point? We don't know. But what we do know, and Stevie and I were talking about this during all the games today, is that this just not absolutely a complete turnaround into how this new manager has worked all his life. And the most recent evidence of Tottenham. But before that, Celtic and in Japan and in Australia. It's hell for leather, it's open, it's attacking. And the big question will be, well, A, we know he's going to do it and try it. But the big question is, has he got, well, I think I know the answer, but has he got the players to even attempt it?
And what is the answer?
I think no.
Right.
Nuno, the former coach, had a bunch of players, a bit like Oliver Glasner, we talked about Glasner yesterday at Palace, understands what he has and what he can get out of them. You know, there's no point in me trying to get those three centre-halves at Crystal Palace passing the ball all the time because they don't want it. And we've got a big 6'4" striker up front, and Mateta, so we play a bit longer. And Forest were built on a solid back four, a bit of pace on the counter-attack, and a big striker who is in the form of his life. You're taking that whole sea change and saying, right, I want the centre-half to split and get the ball, and I want the full-backs. The Forest full-backs have never been anywhere else but left-back and right-back in the last 2 years. Never. Up the park back, tucking in. So how is it all going to work? It might be exciting to start with, but I could see so many problems ahead if he tries to do that.
It's a complete gamble.
I want to take it back to, obviously this is a slightly different conversation, different level, but the reason Arne Slot did so well at Liverpool is that he didn't tinker too much. Yeah? I think that's what we talked about. He didn't let his ego kind of get in the way. So if you're Ange Postecoglou, surely you look back at what worked last season.
Yeah, but hold on. But Arne Slot already took over a pretty attacking Liverpool side.
No, I'm not talking about attack. I'm just talking about style in general.
Just in general.
What worked for Liverpool worked well, and he just tweaked a little bit. What we're talking about is Ange coming in and completely upsetting the apple cart because he only knows how to play once.
Yeah, but not a chance.
Can he put that ego aside and say, actually, what they did last season worked. Why would I change it all?
No, because it's a bit... You know, Frank was talking about Deschamps earlier. That's how Deschamps does it.
Right.
This is how Ange does it. And he's not going to change that. I mean, Marinakis has just been waiting to find somebody. And he clearly hasn't thought about this. Because everything Craig's talking about them having a good shape and being tight is because nobody in that Forest side ever got exposed. Ever. Because they were always a unit. Now, under Ange, every single one of them is going to be exposed. Now it's, OK, let's see what you can do. And they don't have a Van de Ven at the back who can do the 100 metres in 9 seconds, who's going to clear up all the holes and all the gaps. You know, Milinkovic and Muriello were arguably one of the best defensive partnerships in the Premier League last year. But we saw Milinkovic today against England getting exposed and didn't have any pace to get to. He ended up getting sent off. So, I mean, Marinakis absolutely has just gambled big time. And I'm like Craig, I don't see how it works.
I'll give him a little bit of swallowing his pride. Postecoglou was at the end of the season to win the Europa League. He swallowed it a little bit because they were defensive against Eintracht Frankfurt, and Man United got the better of him in terms of possession. Tottenham did not play well, and so he did revert a little bit to being a little bit, bit more boring. But I think that was because they'd lost a bit of form and confidence. But he's not. He's no way he's turning into. He's going to Nottingham Forest for 2 or 3 years if that's his contract, and sitting there watching them defend all the time. He just hasn't got it in him.
But it's strange because normally when a manager takes over, a team is really struggling, but they're not. Obviously they've got 4 points so far this season, but given what they did last season, there was money in the bank for Nuno. What are the fans saying? You've got family of Nottingham Forest fans.
I'm not him.
Do you speak to them at all?
No. Hold on. It's only just happened today.
I know, but you may have rung your boy and said, "What do you reckon?"
No,
he's not talking.
He rang me for money. To go, he never even mentioned Forest. He said, "Dad, have you got 500 quid? I'm trying to book a holiday."
Nice. Where's he going?
I don't know. Somewhere cheap.
Well, not that cheap. Frank, what do you make of this all?
I'm concerned too, like the Scottish couple. I really think that it can be an issue because, as enthusiastic that I was, and I think everybody were, when Ange signed for Spurs and changed dramatically the way of playing for 6 months, he never had an option 2, and a good coach. His strength is to allow himself to change the way of thinking according to the player that he has in charge. And that's going to be completely different with Nottingham Forest, as and Craig and Stevie mentioned and alluded. It's more defensive side, and you cannot change those players who are known as very good defensively. And I don't see he's going to change his way of thinking. His strength is to how to encourage the players to go forward, where with those type of players and the squad that he has in charge and in position, he will have to work more defensively. I'm not sure he's capable of doing that. It's why I'm concerned. Let's see. It's going to be very interesting because that's the only chance for him and the last chance to show to the world that he's a very, very good coach.
So what do you do? Like, you've got one or 2 days with the players in theory after international break, and you've got Arsenal. Do you delay this announcement and have an interim take over the Arsenal game to give yourself a little bit of a buffer?
No, they haven't announced it yet.
It's not official.
With this owner, I have no idea what they do. But I wouldn't want to worry Forest fans, but what I would say...
It's always a bot.
Well, what made them solid and as good as they were with the defence, right? We shouldn't forget, although Tottenham won the Europa League last year, this openness that just obliterated the middle of the park in their defence during... And he had a lot of injuries, I get that. But they finished just above the relegation zone.
They lost 22 games last season.
They finished just above the relegation zone. It's the one thing that Nottingham Forest fans are going to be quivering about, because they've just spent 20 years. A team that won the European Cup, the English title under Brian Clough, they spent 20 years in the Championship. They couldn't get out. And now they've been out for how many years it is. This change of style is so concerning, I think, where the Forest fans will be like, this football's great. And then bang, 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 you're losing games, like Tottenham were. You can't get out of the rut because you can't really change the style. I think it's a worry.
Again, if you're a Forest fan and you think about it rationally, at least when he went to Spurs, he had a pre-season and he had a lot of time to spend with his players, and they started off on fire for 6 months, as Frank said. And then, because of the way they play, you can't sustain. And so you end up, nobody really knows or understands what they're doing. In the meantime, you're losing games.
And if he thinks there's some sort of connection between his Greek heritage and the ownership, Marinakis, obviously Greek shipping magnate, if he thinks that will save him, It won't, because the owner is nuts. And if his results are not there, he'll be fired. So it's a big call, actually, for both Forest and for Postecoglou to go in there at a club that have done things and had success doing it completely the opposite way into how this potential new manager works. And really Hungary threw those points away, trying to overplay at the end of the game there.
So Portugal will get the win, one step closer for them then to qualify for the World Cup. Cristiano Ronaldo now with 39 goals in 49 World Cup qualifying matches, level with Carlos Ruiz, 3 clear of a certain Lionel Messi. Frank, you watched this game for us. What have you got to tell us?
Well, it's a deserving win. Yeah, they got scared at the end, Portugal, but they managed to deal and direct the game all through the 90 minutes, and there is nothing much to say. I'm a little bit concerned about the Ronaldo's penalty because, I mean, yes, there is handball, but I think the ball was going away of the net, so is that considered as a handball and the penalty then? I don't know the rules that's perfectly and precisely, but that was quite awkward for me because if it doesn't go to the net, can we consider it as a handball? But otherwise, yeah, Hungary has a terrible record against Portugal, and Portugal made everything to win that game. They reacted very well. I think they fell asleep when they scored the second goal. They fell asleep. They don't try to finish the game, but they never thought that Hungary can come back, and it happened. But they reacted very well, and again, nothing to say about the 3 points that they got today because they were the best team.
It's a heck of a talented side, though, isn't it?
Well, it's like France. You look on paper.
A bit lightweight up front.
Aye.
I was going to move on to Ireland, Armenia.
No. I mean, you look at the midfield there. Vitinha and Neves, the PSG duo. Bruno Fernandes playing where he really should be playing for Man United, further forward. Obviously, Ronaldo continues to go. We're looking a little. We were talking about Diaz during the first half and how leggy he's looking for Man City and Portugal. He looks like a player. We couldn't figure his age out. He's 28.
28.
He looks like a player in his 30s. He's struggling a little bit, but
don't forget Mendes.
Mendes at left back. They have a lot of good players. That's why I think there is a fair chunk of pressure on Roberto Martinez. They did deserve to win this game. Clearly, they will go through. But again, a bit like France and all these other, Spain and Germany and all these other teams, they're going to be judged not by the qualifiers, by how they do at the World Cup.
Now, I wasn't going to do this today, but I had a text from someone last night about it. Here is the shortlist, your Premier League Hall of Fame. In case you missed it, Campbell, Evra, Fowler, Owen, Toure, Defoe, Neville, Vidic, Carrick, Fabregas, Hazard, Sheringham, Van der Sar, Ferdinand and David Silva.
So what's he upset about?
Frank LeBeuf's with us. You sent me a text saying Hazard has to be in it.
No, I didn't.
You did, didn't you?
David Silva.
David Silva. No, apologies. Yeah.
Yeah, why would David Silva not be in it?
Yeah, but you could make that argument for quite a lot.
Well, I was watching it last night later on, and I thought I'll just text Dan and say, hey,
because we never
how
picked
come David Silva wasn't
What was my
mentioned?
response?
Shut up.
Put the ball away.
I mean,
The ball
right.
away.
So who would you have out of those two? David Silva?
David Silva.
Do you remember the list?
No.
Do you want to see the list? Can we put the list up
Show me this again. Definitely David Silva.
Yeah.
And I think Les Ferdinand was well.
Yeah, Les Ferdinand was in it. Yeah, the boys were talking about Les Ferdinand.
Yeah. I couldn't believe none of you mentioned David Silva. That was all.
Right, I see.
Absolutely fantastic.
Well, I mean, I went for Robbie Fowler. No?
Yeah. I mean, they're all fantastic players. But I just think David Silva's, even amongst that group.
Remind us who you went for, Craig. You went for Fowler and...
Sheringham.
Fowler and
Just
Sheringham.
for the longevity and, won the Champions League, the league, and, was brilliant at Tottenham, Millwall, Forest. Just was a good all-round player into his late 30s.
Frank?
Yeah, I don't know what the criteria are.
It's
to
only
be
the Premier League, so it doesn't matter what else they did, Frank. So it doesn't matter if they won 10 World Cups.
Okay. So in order for me to be nominated first, you have to represent something symbolic for me, and the longevity, what you've done, but not only as a football player, the character that you had, the mentality that you had. It's why when I imagine the Hall of Fame, I see, of course, George Best, Gary Lineker, Kevin Keegan, Kenny Dalglish, even Steve Nichols.
Wow.
I mean, those players who created the history of the Premier League. And Robbie Fowler is he's a symbol of what the English football can be. Craziness, but also talent, technique, but also fighting spirit. So I have to go with Robbie Fowler. And then after I had a hard time to find a second one, I said Sol Campbell. Yes, I loved him, but comparing to some others. So I think I'm going to go for Yaya Touré.
Okay.
I think Yaya Touré changed the spirit of Manchester City and brought something special. That guy scored goal, defended so well, had a character, and the time that he played in England, he changed something and in the football. So yeah, I'm going to go for Yaya Touré.
Meaning that they extend their lead at the top of the table. For Nigeria, they have very much it all to do at the moment as we welcome in. Oh, main man, Colin Udo joins us. Colin, I feel like the only time we have you on the show is when Nigeria are doing badly. What's going on?
I guess I'm going to have to blame you for that, because if you got me on more often, then Nigeria will probably do much better.
Yeah, indeed. What's happening? Why are they struggling so much? When you look at this team, it's still stacked, isn't it?
It is. Unfortunately, it's hard to point to one thing as why. We've had frequent coaching changes, players missing. But look, considering how good some of the players in the Nigeria team are, you can't really say one or two players missing should be an excuse for them not to get the result that they need to get. Because, hey, and I'm sure we're going to get to that a bit later, but you look at Cape Verde, they don't have the quality of players Nigeria have, but they are, one win away from qualifying for the World Cup. So with Nigeria, when you look at the amount of coaching changes, I think this team has gone through 4 coaching changes during this World Cup qualifier. Jose Pesero, Fendi George, Austin Eguavon, and now we had Eric Sekoshel. So 4 coaches in the space of 8 games. You're not going to get anything good out of that. And then you've got to also look at the fact that, a team like Nigeria in a group like with Lesotho, Rwanda, Zimbabwe have got to be winning games. But you've had 3, out of 8 games, they've only won 1. Sorry, they've only won 2 games, both games against Rwanda. They've lost against Benin Republic away, and away was on neutral ground in Ivory Coast, not even in Benin Republic. They drew at home to Lesotho, drew at home to South Africa, drew at home to Zimbabwe, and then drew away to Zimbabwe, not even in Zimbabwe again. That game was also played in Kigali, Rwanda. So in a qualifying like this, if you can't win your home games and you can't get points on the road, at least good point on the road, then you're bound to win Nigeria is, and it's a shame because I've got to say it's disgraceful. I'm somebody who has, I've been covering this team, supporting this team from some 2-3 decades, and I've never seen a team with less spirit, with less heart than the current iteration of players. And I think that, at this point, some soul searching needs to be done among the Nigeria players.
What do you think, Colin? When it comes to the US next summer, are Nigeria going to be there? Are they going to get qualification?
Mathematically, they could, but in reality, I'll say no. Nigeria's not coming to US next year.
Oh, wow. Let's take what a story this is then. Cape Verde almost through to their first World Cup. This is just a group of islands, 500,000 people in population. It's quite the story, Colin.
And the good thing is, even though, from 2013, when they qualified for their first AFCON, Cape Verde have been doing really, really good in African qualifying. In fact, they seem to have become Cameroon's bogey team, because in qualifying for that first AFCON, they beat Cameroon 2-0 at home and then lost 2-1. So they eliminated Cameroon on their way to qualifying for their first AFCON. And then they got to the AFCON, they beat Ghana, they beat Morocco. They've been to the quarterfinals twice. And then, now they've shown that, in qualifying, they can do really good. And I think it'll be a very, very proud moment for them. They are 1 win away from going to the World Cup. And their last game in the qualifier is at home to the bottom team in the group, Eswatini, which they're expected to win. So you can imagine winning that game at home and qualifying in front of their fans for the World Cup is going to be a huge moment for Cape Verde. And I'm really proud of them. And the fact they've done that with players who were mostly born in Cape Verde, and a coach who not only was born in Cape Verde, but played in Cape Verde and now coaches them, I think it's a credit to the team and the federation and the country.
Before we let you go, Colin, let's just take you through what else happened. And you can see how crucial that win is, considering how things look at the top of the table. They are 2 points now clear. Colin, what a comeback from Senegal.
That was an amazing comeback. And the DRC, look, they were this close. And it always seems to happen to them when they are this close to qualifying for the World Cup. They just find a way to muck things up. And look, fans were in that stadium hours before kickoff. They had a full house. They had no excuse not to put, again, we're leading 2-0, and they could have been, one game away from qualifying for the World Cup. And somehow they just decided to crumble, allow Senegal to get back in it, and they lost the game. And the fans weren't happy. The scenes after the game were, somewhat not flattering. But again, DRC have no one to blame but themselves.
Meanwhile, Egypt had the possibility, didn't they, to qualify today, Colin, yet they're going to have to wait another round. They sit 5 clear of Burkina Faso, but they couldn't get it done because it was just a goalless draw in the end in this top-of-the-table clash.
Exactly. And I mean, Burkina Faso, again, have shown that, these days we talk about there being no minnows in Africa. There still are minnows, but some of these minnows are growing up. They are putting the big teams through their paces. And Burkina Faso, they're one of them. They've appeared in AFCON finals. And so they really got Egypt, put Egypt through the ringer. And then so we've got to wait for the last 2 games of these qualifiers to see if they make it. But I know Egypt, again, 1 win away from making it to the World Cup, but Burkina Faso pushing them all the way.
Welcome in then to the latest edition of Extra Time. That's it, last day of internationals really, isn't it?
What would you do?
So we just, by the way, we just showed the video of the bees. In Tanzania.
And all the players and people
lying down. Everyone just basically, Colin Udo was on saying, what you have to do is just lie down. Don't get in their way.
Yeah, but they can...
No, but the thing is, they just want to get somewhere. So that's so.
Yeah, but they might just look down and go, yeah, why not?
Just to annoy you. Just like, oh, take that.
I'd be running, would you know? I'd be in the dressing room.
No.
Now, what would you do?
You'd have
Lie
to
down. I'd lie down. Who's your told?
You're an expert now.
Well, apparently.
How are you doing, Frank?
I'm doing great. We have how do you say, a nest of bees?
Yes.
What do you call the nest? Yeah,
the hive?
I have that at home right now. So if they can go and follow their colleagues in Tanzania, I would be more than happy, because that's because I can't go on the floor. They don't care. They come and they bite you. They're very aggressive right now.
Well, get rid of the
but
bees
that's okay.
and put the nest on your head. Get rid of the bees, get the nest.
That's very nice.
Why is he putting on his head?
He's here.
Yeah.
Like a little nest.
Rank these 3 World Cup giants according to how far they've fallen off. Italy, Germany, Brazil. We were talking about this yesterday, weren't we?
Could be Italy, innit?
Yeah, I mean, Brazil have, but... Well, Italy didn't qualify. They got beat by North Macedonia.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah, Italy.
Italy?
100% Italy.
Frank?
Yeah, I have to agree, yeah.
Italy as well. Haaland, Asgard, have you ever experienced anything like it? They scored 9 goals between them, Frank, today in that win against Moldova.
We won against Azerbaijan. We won 10-0 in Auxerre, and I think it was in '95 to the qualification for the European Championship in England. But we were only 1-0 or 2-0 half time, so we got upset. But it's strange. I remember scoring 2 goals that day, and you're happy, but you don't want to show too much because you feel a little bit embarrassed. Even if it's to respect, if it's a way to respect the opponent, you have to play your game. And if you have to score 20 goals, you will have to score 20 goals. But during the show, I agree with Craig. We have to stop, and the FIFA has to stop those kind of games. When you have double digits, and it can happen once. If it happens too much, we are in danger. The level of football will drop if we carry on like that.
Frank, it's one of those goals, that flick that you scored. Was that against Azerbaijan for France?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that's what you called it.
That was the one.
Yeah, very nice.
But France doing it and Norway doing it, it's 2 different things, isn't it? Norway haven't been in a World Cup for over 20 years. They're hardly one of the giants of the game. They've got some better players now, hence they're getting better results. But when they're beating you 11-1, and all these people out there, these, I don't know what to call them, the people that are all for saturating major tournaments with more and more teams. They just don't get it. Because this is the road you're going down. Who wants to sit? The qualifiers are bad enough, right? For Euros and World Cups and whatnot. Do you want to sit and watch? I mean, you have to watch the odd game at a World Cup that's not the best. But do you want to watch a bunch of those early on? Match day 1, match day 2, match day 3, where they're all like, most of them are like that? No thanks.
About the bank book.
Yes.
Stevie, you seem like the best person to answer this. Start, bench or drop? What's most likely to get resolved first? Barcelona's financial issues, Manchester City's charges, or Manchester United finding the right manager?
Ooh. Hold on. Man City charges are done.
No, they're not done.
They've come to an agreement with Premier
No,
League.
that was something yesterday. That was a different topic. They still haven't decided the 115 charge.
That was the sponsorship.
That was to do with sponsorship, yes. Yeah.
You've got to think Man City's charges.
Right?
Yeah,
That'll be first.
I would think so.
Yeah. Barcelona, of course, and their levers. And then Man United find the right manager.
Yeah.
Which pair would you take to build a team around, Frank? Palmer, Caicedo, Saka and Rice, Yamal, Kubarsi.
Oh my God. That's so hard. Well, according to what we saw last season, Yamal and Kubarsi deserve to start because Barcelona won the La Liga, where Palmer and Caicedo and even Saka and Rice didn't win it, the Premier League. But I'm really fan of Caicedo, like I'm really fan of Rice, and I think those two players in the middle of the park should play together. They would be unbeatable. So I put Saka and Rice first because I think they are more experienced than the others.
That's
then
it. It's not a start, bench or drop. It's what pair.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're right. So I go for Saka and Rice. They're more experienced
Saka and Rice?
than the others.
Kubarsi, of course, missed a lot last season for injury. Back now.
Yeah, but he's dropped. Hasn't played.
Yeah.
Well, didn't play last time out before the international break. Probably going to play this weekend because they were so bad against Rayo Vallecano.
Yeah.
He's still been a leader or a regular for Barcelona over the last 18 months as a teenager, alongside Martinez, who's gone to Saudi Arabia, and Lamine Yamal's just, out of this world sometimes. So I would go with those two.
Saka and Rice.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, as good as Yamal is, Kubarsi's. He's not at the same stature, in my opinion, as any of the other players. I'm not sure whether he's
Not yet.
I'm not sure whether he's ever going to be. Yes, he has some fantastic attributes, and yes, he's played some great games, but he's also made some mistakes as well. So I would go with Saka and Rice.
Final question. The Kings of Europe to hijack Konate on a free contract this next summer. Mbappe is the lead recruit. How important are international teammates in convincing a player to join? Any personal
Who's the Kings of
stories?
Europe?
Well, Real Madrid, I assume, by this
Okay.
message. Obviously, we saw it with Bellingham and Trent Alexander. There was talk that maybe that he persuaded Trent to move.
I don't think
is
it's
that a
huge.
thing?
I don't think it's huge. Listen, I think if you got on really well with somebody and they're at a team like Real Madrid and winning everything, then it helps.
Right.
But I don't think it's particularly huge.
Doesn't make a difference.
Not really.
No.
I don't think so, does it?
No.
No.
It's just one player, isn't it? Yeah. You've got to think about your contract, your game time, the success you may or may not be getting. Yeah, it's always good to have somebody when you go to the club.
It's
Does
down,
help,
it's down the list, though, right?
Yeah, that's
Frank, did you have any chums when you moved to Chelsea? Did you speak to anyone before you moved to Chelsea?
no, just after he moved.
No,
Hello.
even Craig. I wanted to call Craig, but I couldn't find his phone number. So,
Yeah.
but
haven't got that problem now, have you?
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't know anybody. But when Marcel signed for Chelsea, he called me and I explained to him what he had to expect. especially coming from Milan. I say come because the experience is great, because the club is great, it's coming up, and it's a very good experience, and we are building something. But don't forget that you won't see what you see as a training ground, for example, because at the time we were training at Harlington, and that was pretty much a nightmare. But even if it was nice, it wasn't a professional, let's say, training ground. But but I never called anybody for any club that I signed for. No, I never had that chance to have a friend of mine playing for the team that I came. I was the first French guy to come to Chelsea.
I used to see it, I don't know if you did, I used to see it when we were away with the national team. Players would be talking.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. What's it like there, and behind the scenes, what's the manager like? And you know, you always heard guys, putting the feelers out to see what, see if there was. Nobody ever maybe one or two would say, well, do you want to come to? I can speak to the manager and stuff like that. Whether that has any bearing on transfers, but you used to hear them all.
It wouldn't be anybody of note, though, would it?
You used to hear them all talking.
I think we had a conversation before you came here. I should have told you it was rubbish to stay in England.
What's that?
You were talking about what it's like living here, where to live, that sort of stuff.
I think I said to the boss I would only come here if he fired you.
And then in the end, that didn't work out. HR got involved.
Still working on it.
That is it. That brings us to the end of today's show. Tomorrow, of course, I'll be reflecting on the US in action again, plus those big matches in CONMEBOL. Ali will be here. Will we be happy or sad about Venezuela's journey to the World Cup next year?